My wife declared, "This marriage is on my terms." So I changed the rules and left her behind. She slammed her hand on the table, delivering it like an absolute decree. So sure, I would do what I had always done, nod, sigh, and fall in line. But this time I didn't. Instead, I smiled. "All right, then let's play by your rules." She hesitated, confusion flickering across her face before she regained composure. She thought she'd won. That was her first mistake. This wasn't about a single argument. This was about years of her making the rules, deciding how things would go, dictating every part of my life while I bent over backward to accommodate her. Not anymore. I didn't bring it up again. I simply carried on as usual, letting her believe she was still in control. But the game had already begun. I started making changes. When she tried to dictate what I should wear, I put on what I wanted. When she gave me a weekend schedule, I made other plans. When she tried to cut off a conversation with a friend she didn't approve of, I ignored her and kept talking. She noticed passive-aggressive remarks about how I was acting strange. I didn't react. I just let her feel the shift. A few nights later, she asked where I was going. Normally, I would have explained, reassured her, made sure she was okay with it. "Out," I said simply, grabbing my keys. Her eyes narrowed. "Where? Does it matter?" She took a step back, caught off guard. "You usually tell me where you're going." "I used to, but I figured since this marriage is on your terms, I might as well adjust." I saw it hit her, a flicker of realization, a flash of unease. She was starting to lose control. Over the next days, I stopped explaining myself, stopped checking in. The silence was what got to her most. Before, she could count on me to react, to engage. Now I gave her nothing. One morning in the kitchen, "What's your plan today?" I shrugged. "Haven't decided yet." "Well, I thought we could—" "I'll be out most of the day." Her jaw tightened. "Doing what?" I smirked. "Does it matter?" For years, I'd been expected to give full reports on everything. Now she was left in the dark. That evening, she tried a different tactic. "Since you've been so independent lately, we should talk about finances. I'm always managing the money, so I think it's fair we reevaluate our accounts." I nearly laughed. She wasn't talking about balance. She was talking about leverage. For years, she'd used money as control, making sure I always felt like I needed her approval, but I'd seen this move coming. I pulled out my phone, tapped a few times, then set it on the table. "Actually, I already took care of that." Her expression shifted. "What do you mean?" "I transferred all the joint accounts into your name. Since you like handling things your way, you can manage all the expenses too." The color drained from her face. "You what?" I shrugged. "You want control? You got it. Every bill, every payment, it's all yours now." She opened her mouth, then closed it. I could see the realization that she'd just lost the very power she thought she was reinforcing. "It's exactly what you wanted," I said, standing up. "I'm just following your rules." Over the next weeks, bills piled up. Responsibilities she'd never handled were now entirely on her. I didn't offer to help. Then came the dinner party with our friends and family. She insisted we attend, a chance to reassert control, remind everyone she was still in charge. As the night went on, she made comments about how things were back to normal, how we'd worked through some things. I let her talk. Then I leaned back, took a sip of wine, and spoke casually. "It's funny, she always said this marriage was on her terms, so I figured why not let her handle everything." The table went quiet. She froze. She wanted full control, so I made sure she had it. Put all the bills in her name, everything she always wanted. Panic flashed in her eyes. She forced a nervous laugh. "You're making it sound like you ran everything? That's what you always said, wasn't it?" A few people chuckled awkwardly. Her fingers tightened around her wine glass. Then I pulled out my phone, scrolled for a second, and turned the screen toward her. "By the way, remember that business meeting you had last week? Thought you'd want to see this?" Her face drained of color. The table went silent. She stared at the screen, hands trembling. The picture was right there, her in a restaurant, leaning way too close to a man that wasn't me. I'd known for weeks. I'd let her dig her own grave. She looked up at me, lips parted, searching for something, an excuse, a lie, anything. But there was nothing left to say. I stood up, adjusted my jacket, and looked at her one last time. "You were right, this marriage was only ever on your terms." I picked up my keys, nodded at the stunned faces around the table, and walked out. She didn't follow me, because for the first time in her life, she had nothing left to control.